How's it going, guys? Grimsie42 here, and I have got the pickups from a recent trip that I took to Albany, New York to go see my buddy Oleg, who on YouTube goes by Mr. Syntastic. And he actually made a video, which I thought was a very good representation of how that whole weekend of fun kind of transpired, and I will go ahead and I will link that below. So you can check that out. My video is obviously going to be a little more focused on just the pickups, what I specifically got. I do have a little bit of footage I want to show you guys, but anyways, without further ado, let me jump into this stuff. The first things I'm going to show you are two items that I picked up from a store called Pastime Legends. And it's a really great chain of stores. There's 3 of them, if I'm not mistaken. I was able to go to 2 of the locations, and I went to the first one, and at this point, it was already after I drove from where I live to Albany, which is about a 4-hour drive, and I spent a little time at Oleg's house, and by the time we had gotten there, I was like, seriously, like, my sugar level was like 0, and I was kind of just in a daze. So honestly, I really didn't pick anything up. I just was not feeling really good, and it was unfortunate because I can kind of remember in my blurry images that it was a really good store. Well, luckily, we were able to go to another one of the locations the following day, and I was feeling a lot better, and my eyes were working, so I picked up 2 games, and I actually traded in some doubles I had to get enough store credit to grab these. The first one is something that I had wanted to pick up for a long time. I had purchased this when I was, let's see when it was made. It was made in '95, so I purchased this when I was either 14 or 15 years old. And I remember at the time, actually, just a poor kid in high school, I took all of the pennies that I had saved up, and they were all rolled and everything, and I gave a friend of mine, I think it was like $40 or $50 worth of pennies for this, and it was like a pain in the butt to carry in my backpack, but I really remember enjoying this game, and aside from the nostalgia, I wanted it because it's a long box game, so I guess I'll show you guys now. It is Air Combat by Namco, and again, you know, not the rarest game in the world. Luckily, it does have the little insert, styrofoam, all that, but this was very reasonably priced. I believe they had it at like $5.99 or something of that nature, and really good shape. I wanted to get all of the Namco long box games because I had all of them as a kid and or a young adult, and I really wanted to get those back, so it was definitely cool for $6 to knock that one off the list. This next one that I got, I cannot recommend enough, and to anyone who has the ability to play this game, if you've got a friend, maybe they'll let you borrow it. Unfortunately, it's a little bit on the expensive end. I believe this is going for around $40 to $50 on eBay, sometimes as high as $60. But it is a very cool, kind of unique puzzle game. And I remembered playing it when I was younger, and luckily I was able to finally get it back in my collection. And I am super excited to have it. It is Intelligent Cube, also known as IQ. And it is complete, and it is in like near perfect condition. That disc is really shiny. I actually popped this in my PlayStation the other day, and I instantly fell back in love. It is a super fun game. It's really original. If you guys haven't tried it out yet, definitely pull up a video on YouTube and check out a Let's Play of this. I really cannot recommend this enough. It's very simple, but at the same time complex, and Intelligent Cube really does sum it up, because the smarter you are, the better you are at this. So definitely a really cool game. And overall, I really thought the Pastime Legends chain was awesome. They've got a great setup. They've got some great stock. They had really good prices, and the owner, Joe, was really cool. And actually, kind of a small little spoiler, I was actually able to, I guess, work out a deal with him where I could close my Nintendo collection just a little bit more. So in a future video, you will see I picked up something pretty darn sweet, but I'll save that for Quest for NES. Moving on, one of the last stores that we went to is a pretty well-known chain. It's called J Street Games. I believe the first one was located on J Street. That's where they get their name. I think there's like 5 or 6 of them. And they are definitely known to have a higher level of quality stock. They really have some quality titles there. They had a lot of games I wanted, but not so many that I could afford. Unfortunately, they definitely have their games priced accordingly, so I had to be careful. But this one actually was at a price that I felt was good, and I was actually able to haggle with them and get it for even cheaper. I picked this one up for, I believe, $20, and it is a copy of Egg, also known as Elemental Gimmick Gear for the Sega Dreamcast. And this is a really cool, really interesting RPG of sorts, and in there and in really good shape. If I'm not mistaken, CJR just picked this up. He's doing a series that he calls, I believe, the Sega Dream Quest, which ironically somebody else, a friend of mine, Gamer Emporium, is also doing, and also calls the Sega Dream Quest, where basically they're trying to get complete Dreamcast. So it seems to be the thing to do these days. I'm not going to say that I am going to try to get complete Dreamcast. It is an eventual goal of mine, just because I want complete almost everything, but I'm kind of going to let those guys worry about it. In fact, my buddy Oleg is going for it too. So it seems like that's the thing right now. So I will keep my eyes open for deals, but at the same time, I'm kind of not going to try to steal their thunder. I'm going to focus on my NES and even maybe Saturn. So, but anyways, I thought that was a great, great deal. I was super happy to add that one to the collection. And I do always have my eyes open for, Dreamcast games that are either fun to play or hard to find or in good shape or at a good price or any of that. Going forward, I would say that these next two items are going to show you was my biggest catch the owner slipping of the entire weekend. This store, which is a top secret store, mainly because I don't recall what it was called and I don't know the area, so I don't know really where it was. It was kind of a hidden spot, if you will, so I'm going to have to keep it at that. But I went in there, and Oleg was nice enough to spot a game that I had been looking for quite some time, and I have this on PS2 already, but I wanted the GameCube version, and it is a copy of Killer 7. And it's a really, really cool kind of an action game where you take the role of a killer who has 7 different personalities, and that's where the name comes. And as you can see, everything is in really, really good shape. This is super clean, and I believe this was at $19.99. Yes, this was priced at $19.99, which was, I was willing to pay it, but I wasn't pleased about it, and I figured I'd look around a little and see if there was anything I could bundle. And while I was looking, I noticed games that they had priced at $14.99 basically also had a thing next to it that said 2 for $25. So that's a really cool little savings. And I spotted one in that bracket that I wanted. So I went over to the owner and I said, listen, I spotted a game that you've got at $14.99 with a price tag on it that says 2 for $25. Is there any opportunity or possibility or chance that you would do this game also for that 2 for $25? And she agreed. So basically, if I paid $20 for this, I got this other game I'm going to show you for $5. And some of you may go, stupid Grimsie, you paid $5 for that. You're a yard toad, you dumb Grimsie, you. So some of you will not think that. I believe this was probably in a retail location one of the hugest margins of error on the seller's part that I've ever encountered. And it is a copy of Interactive Multi-Game Demo Disc version 16. So for those of you right now who are kind of like, what? Basically, the story behind these, and luckily I do remember my time as a manager for GameStop, which was many, many moons ago. In fact, these were relevant back then. I want to say this was like 2004. Yeah, so this is right towards the end of my time at GameStop. I stopped working there in, I believe, 2005. But the story behind these is the Nintendo rep would come in about every month, and she would have, or in my case it was a she, it could be a guy. The Nintendo rep that came into my location was a female, really, really cool lady. I actually got my Wind Waker bobblehead off of her too, so she was definitely really cool. But basically the story behind these is these are what they would put in their Interacts, their kiosks. And once she would come in and put the new one in, she would usually throw the old one out or take it with her. So these became very, very difficult to track down, and the fact that they came in an actual GameCube case kind of adds to their visual appeal. So I looked it up, And one of these has sold recently for, I believe, about $100. So some of them are more valuable than others. And I don't know specifically what makes this so special. This is the only one I currently own. But you really never see these. So anybody who sees any of those in their area for sale at a reasonable price, don't hesitate. If you really want to look before you leap, look them up. See, just type interactive demo disc version, whichever one it is, and see what they've sold for. But these are usually pretty expensive, so I was super, super happy about that. Alright guys, before I go into the last pile of pickups that I have here, I actually have some footage that I shot of the store. This is a store that I've been looking forward to going to for as long as I knew it existed. It's a store called Forgotten Freshness in Mechanicville, New York. And the owner, Frank, is a really, really cool guy, very, very knowledgeable. I briefly met him at Too Many Games in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. But this is the first time I actually got to see his store. And hopefully you're impressed as I am. Here's a look, and it definitely blew me away. Check it out. Alright guys, so hopefully you were as impressed with that store as I was. It's got a really cool owner. The owner, Frank, is basically a very knowledgeable and passionate collector himself, and he definitely has an amazing store. It is by far the most impressive store I've ever actually been in, and I've been in some pretty sweet game stores. But anyways, what I picked up. The first item is a Wii game, and I'm not familiar with this author. I guess she's a novelist, I think that's what they call it. But it's Agatha Christie, and then there were none. It's a visual novel style game. I just thought it would be pretty cool for the price I paid. It was only a couple bucks. So I figured why not. This next one here was only a few bucks also. It is a Konami title, and it is Lost in Blue Shipwrecked. And this one is still in the little sleeve. He throws those in. Got the manual there. And this one looked interesting, plus it was a Konami title. Definitely try to pick any Konami titles I can up for the Wii. Any of the old publishers, if you will, like Konami, Hudson Soft, Natsume, stuff like that. Try to pick them up when I see them if the price is right. Continuing on, this one here is actually really interesting because it says right on it, only for Xbox 360, yet I own this for PlayStation 3. So I don't know if this was a case where they released it for the 360 with the intent of it being exclusive, and then I guess it later came out on the PlayStation 3. But it's a big box of sorts, and it includes a 48-page graphic novel. It is Enchanted Arms. And like I said, it's got the game in there, and then it's got the visual novel. So I thought that was pretty cool, nice little slipcover and stuff. And it's interesting looking. I've been told it kind of sucks, but I got it for I think 8 or 10 bucks, so no complaints there. This next one I have actually comes with kind of a funny story. And the story goes is basically when I first got my PlayStation, I was very limited on the available funds I had to purchase a game. It actually took all of the money I had saved up, plus all the money I got for Christmas, to afford the PlayStation. It was like $300. which when I was like 14 years old was a shit ton of money. Forgive my language, but nowadays I guess it's still a decent amount of money, but when I was a kid, that seemed like all the money in the world. Anyways, when I finally had saved up enough to purchase a game, I was so excited that I wanted to go to the store right then, and my parents were not willing to take me, so I had to walk. And it was about a 3-mile walk, and it was in like super blizzard conditions. It was nighttime, there was like 5 feet of snow. It was just like horrible. I still remember it to this day. And the game I wound up choosing is the game I chose here, and that's Cyber Sled. And my motivation behind purchasing this was the friend of mine who came with me to pick it up and myself had just recently played this in the arcade, and they had like the really cool like dual joystick huge setup, and we were having a great time playing it, so I was hoping that the fun would transfer over, and it was really fun, but it didn't live up to the arcade hype. Actually, graphics were improved, believe it or not, but it just wasn't as fun without the whole arcade atmosphere. Anyways, moving on. This next one here, I've been on the hunt for quite some time, and I definitely did not want to pay retail on it. And luckily, Frank had it at a great price, and me being the cheapskate I am, I begged and whined and pleaded, and he dropped it even more. He dropped another $5 off it, but this, I believe, was a GameStop exclusive, and it is a copy of Raiden 4. And the 2-disc version is the one you're looking for when you're trying to collect, and it comes with a soundtrack, which was a GameStop exclusive at minimum, and I guess it's even got a secret code embedded on the disc, so that's really cool. But I was definitely happy to grab this. My buddy Air Force Shields thinks it's a great game, and I trust his judgment, so I'm glad to finally get that one off the list. 2 more games here. The next one is one that I will admit in the past I got caught slipping on. Basically, when I was hanging out with my buddy Scott from the Video Game Sellers when he was touring with the band Korn and came to Buffalo, I took him to some local stores, and he spotted this on the shelf for like I think $7, and it's more like a $30 game. And it's an Xbox exclusive and something I really, really wanted to add to my collection, so I was a bit salty about that. And I was glad to finally find a super clean copy and add it to my collection. It is Stubbs the Zombie Rebel Without a Pulse, and it's really cool. It's built off the Halo engine, and basically you are a zombie who can eat brains and possess the living and build yourself up a zombie horde. So definitely sounds interesting, and I'm excited to check it out. This last game actually comes with a little bit of a story also. It's something that I've seen in the past and that I've definitely been on the hunt for. And when I saw that Frank had a copy and that it was super, super clean, I knew I was going to get it. And my buddy Oleg actually wanted the game also. So luckily, I was able to pull the trigger a little faster than him, beat him to the punch. He was still hemming and hawing about whether he wanted to spend the money on it. And luckily, I brought a ton of doubles, and I had a really, really good pile of store credit built up there. So I was able to snag this, and without further ado, I give you Cannon Spike. And what makes this game so cool is it's kind of an over-the-top shooter, and it's a mashup of Capcom characters. It's got like Charlie and Cammy from Street Fighter. It's got Mega Man, I believe, Chris Redfield for Resident Evil. So it's just a really, really cool mashup, and I'm definitely happy to add this gem to the Dreamcast collection. Overall, I had a fantastic time, and like I said, this video was more pickup focused. I did show you guys a little bit of the store, but I'm just not the type that when I'm out, I really don't like to film. It's just not, it makes it very difficult for me to kind of enjoy where I'm at, and it's just really odd for me to go on a vacation and pull out my phone or my camera the whole time. So I really try not to do that. I try to just enjoy myself and have a good time, which I think is what it's all about. But luckily, my buddy did take a lot of shots that week, and he does have a really good video about it. So I definitely recommend you guys check it out. Like I said, I will link it below for those of you who are lazy. There it is right there. Thank you for watching, and until next time, guys, take care.